Welcome to the Warband, a World of Warcraft podcast. My name is Swaglock, and with me today, just like some of your favorite restaurants, KFC, Popeyes, Chick-fil-A, Raising Cane's, Zaxby's, we've got everyone's favorite, Chicken. Dude, Chicken, what's up, man?
Even pulled out the Trey Zaxby's.
Dude, I listen, man, I don't have a Zaxby's near me, and I miss it terribly.
We don't even really have a Raising Cane's near us, do we?
I think they opened up a few in the city, but I have not been to them.
Oh, no, I haven't.
Yeah, it was like recently. They opened them up in like Philly, but
Low-key,
your boy ain't going in there for some chicken.
Low-key, whenever I travel to Utah for work, which I do seldomly, maybe like once a year, twice a year,
Yeah.
I always make sure I get In-N-Out and Raising Cane's.
Not a bad move. That's good tech. That's good tech right there.
So, anyways, what's going on, man? This is, well, I'm not seeing you right now, but I've already seen you once today.
That is true. That is true. I was at the barber today. I'm getting my hair cut. Boom. In walks Chicken right behind me at the barber shop. That's how close the two of us are.
Did you know that I was going to be there?
Yeah, actually, the barber mentioned it to me. They were like, oh, I didn't realize that Chicken was on the schedule right after you today. I was like, oh, perfect. Awesome.
She actually referred to me as Chicken.
No, she's your real name, but I'm not doxing you on the podcast like that.
I mean, I should make her call me Chicken.
That's true. I do, by the way.
Kind of weird.
By the way, listeners, I do refer to him as Chicken, even when I'm like talking to my wife. I'll be like, yeah, Chicken and I've even at my actual job, because Chicken can be a little involved every once in a while. I refer to him as Chicken by accident in front of people and have to like correct myself and be like, no, I'm actually talking about insert Chicken's real name here. Yep.
That's pretty good.
But dude, it's been pretty good. Pretty good in terms of like things that have been going on, especially within World of Warcraft. I gotta say, it's pretty much almost exclusively been housing right now and collecting things for housing. I was working on my Death Knight, just getting re-familiar with tanking, and I was really enjoying that before housing came out. And I know I'm gonna get back into it because we have so much more time. So I'm not like in a rush. I'm gonna get back into it. I'm gonna push maybe like Houston Hero on my tank just to get back into the field, get some gear before the new expansion comes out, so it's not like starting from absolutely nothing. But I gotta say, housing's just been so fun, and it's now getting to the point where like I am going out trying to like collect different items through like old dungeons. So like there was a rug I wanted in Shadowfang Keep, so I flew out there and ran Shadowfang Keep real fast. It's just cool. It's cool to like have old content be relevant. I will say it's not my favorite when something is like locked behind like revered reputation or something, right? Like I don't love the huge rep grinds to go collect things. I wish maybe some of the collection was a little bit softer or a little easier. So that's one thing. I will say player housing has brought a lot of change into how we think about the word casual, like a casual player. Because it's now saying, okay, well, what actually is a casual player, right? Is a casual player someone who's just saying, yo, all I got is like 2 to 4 hours a week to play WoW. I don't have a lot of time to play WoW. I'll hop on here or there after work. Can't commit a lot, so I'll hop on, run a couple dungeons, maybe do a couple delves, and like that's it. Whereas historically, I think a lot of times casual was referred to as the opposite of competitive, right? So it's like, oh, this person's a competitive player. They're trying to push high. They're trying to push hard. And this person is only playing in a more casual sense, the more relaxed sense. And that's also fair. That's a fair assessment. But man, dude, some of these achievements people have and the amount of time that they've spent in this game is anything but casual. Even though they're not like doing cutting edge, even though they're not like running high-end Mythic Plus, you know, the amount of time they're putting in, no way can be called casual, right? Like they're putting deep amounts of time. And it's one thing too, sorry, I'm thinking about this. I saw on X, the Everything app this week, somebody complaining because they were like, well, you know, there's all these rewards and player housing items for achievements and old content stuff, but where are our player housing rewards for like actually difficult content, like cutting edge and pushing high in keys? And I think that's where people kind of miss the mark. Yeah, achievement farming and doing all this old stuff is a pain, and it is difficult, sort of, but also not difficult. And what I mean by that is like, really all this housing stuff is really easy to do. It's actually like very easy to do. It's just time consuming, right? It's very, very time consuming. It's just not difficult, right? And I think that's what they're missing. They're missing the difference there. Is like time consuming doesn't make something hard. It just makes it time consuming. And you have to be dedicated, both of which you have to be dedicated to do. But the person who's like running cutting edge is like constantly trying to improve their skill and their gameplay, and they're trying to grow in that way, which is cool and that's awesome. And I'm proud of them for doing that. That's quite the achievement. But there's also a difference in the players like, dude, I just want to log in and work towards a goal, but I don't want to have to feel like I'm stressing out about it. I don't have to feel like I get anxious over it, or that people are going to be annoyed with me because I'm not keeping up with them, or stuff like that. And that's where I think a lot of this older content comes from. And people have put crazy amounts of time in there. And I'm glad Blizzard has made that distinction that like, yo, competitive content isn't where we're looking to have these rewards, right? It's not competitive content. They wanted to be in content that is like achievable by anybody who's willing to put the time in. And I think that's awesome, because that's where I think player housing really succeeds. I would be totally cool with items, and I know we'll have some in Midnight, like the trophies that we're going to get from Raid and stuff. I'm totally cool with like items that you can get, rewards you can get that show off these achievements, but like you don't want it to be normal pieces of furniture. And that's like, right? I think Onyxia's head is a great example. Obviously, Onyxia's head is omega easy for anybody to get right now. That's fine. But Onyxia's head isn't like a decoration item that you need to have for your house, right? It's just kind of like, yo, that's Onyxia's head from killing Onyxia. And that's where I think maybe if they were to add in some of these like achievement driven, or not achievement, competitive challenge content, at that point, then it's like, okay, yeah, hard challenge content, if it rewards housing stuff, should reward housing things that work more as a trophy, whether a literal trophy or just an object that is trophy-esque in a sense that, like, I have this. I achieved this. I did this. Here's a piece of that, right? Rather than like, yo, that is a sick fireplace. How did I get that fireplace for my house? Ah, dang it. I had to have been cutting edge 2 years ago in one of the raids, right? Rather, it should be like, yo, that's a pretty sick little random object that really only works best just sitting on the shelf, right? That's kind of cool, which is why I think they're going to start with trophies, but I wouldn't be surprised if they got a little creative in the future, especially if like a certain boss or something was like pretty iconic. But I also wouldn't be surprised if it was always just trophies. Like, no, just put your trophies up. You get a trophy, like whatever. Here's a trophy. Trophies are probably also minimal effort because you can just export the model, put it on a little base stand, paint it gold, and you're done, right? Like, here you go. The trophy's made for player housing. Don't have to think too much about it. But other than that, though, yeah, I don't remember why I was on that rant, but all that to say, I just think it's cool that player housing is so in depth, and there's so much tracking of like stuff and items, and I'm just wildly impressed. I'm wildly impressed with how much people are achieving with it. I'm glad that it's not a skill-based system or a challenge-based system, but rather just like, yo, if you're willing to put the time in for it, there's really cool stuff out there. But you gotta be willing to put time in. And it's also, I think, making people acknowledge that like these players who are or have historically been doing these achievements aren't slouching. They're not slouching players just because they haven't been doing plus 18s or cutting edge or right. Like they're making achievements that are pretty impressive all on their own. Like just because something isn't a challenge or a skill based thing doesn't mean it isn't impressive, right? That time commitment is awesome. I'm ranting so much. I apologize, but this is the last thing I'll say. My wife and I were at the mall this week, and we were stopping in at the bookstore. And I was trying to decide. I need to read Blood Ties before next week's Warband recording because I want to make sure I'm personally fully up to date on everything that I want to talk to you about and get you updated about with the upcoming Warband podcast. And we'll talk about that for everybody else more in a minute. So I'm stopping in at this bookstore that I know in the past has had some WoW books. And I'm talking to my wife, and I'm like, Shay, I don't know if I want to get a physical copy or if I want to just listen to it as an audiobook, because audiobooks are easy for me since I can just listen to them on my commute to work. I go, oh, you know what? I'm going to take a week or 2 weeks off maybe in this case just a week off of my podcast listening, and I'm just going to slam through this audiobook, and it makes it a lot easier. Now, I'm a fast reader, so it would be technically faster for me to read it than to have it on audiobook, but the audiobook is taking up time that I can't do anything else, right? Like I'm driving or I'm working or something, right? However, there's something really nice, right? Like that when you finish a book, even if you're never going to like open that book ever again, having that book on your bookshelf, that's like, yo, I did that. I accomplished that, right? Was it really that hard to read that book? No, it wasn't. But I put the time in and I did it, right? And I think some of player housing is like kind of like that sometimes, where it's like, yeah, that's a cool little chair or a cool little rug. And yeah, I grinded out Reputation in Val Shara so I could get... actually, that's what I caught my wife doing this week. She comes up to me. Maybe I talked about it on the podcast last week. I don't remember. But she comes up to me. She's like, yo, it says I need to do something in Val Shara. What's Val Shara? Because she like wasn't really doing anything in WoW, right? Up to this point. She leveled a character and that was it. And so I was like, oh, Val Shara's a zone in Legion. And she's like, oh, awesome. And so she goes and makes like a Legion remix character and just does like the whole quest line in Val Shara, so she can unlock as much stuff as she possibly can, because she wanted the items that you can get there for player housing. And she's proud of that. Like, she's proud that she put the time in and did that. And those are probably some of her favorite items in her player housing now, because she put the time in to do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is kind of a long grind, and it's funny. There's like an add-on tracker, not a surprise, of, hey, this is everything you can get from player housing, and to my surprise, there's like 200,000 different decor items.
It's crazy.
And I was like, whoa. Literally, I was like, whoa. I was like, there's like no way there's that many, but there's got to be. Like, I can't imagine this would just be fake. Like,
I don't know if the number's 200,000, because I think you're capped at 5,000 decor items in your inventory or whatever.
Oh, really? Lame. This must be fake. Fake news.
Well, I can't say for sure. I'm actually not 100% sure. Okay. New housing.
Wait, no.
It says 2,200 decor items available with a growing database. So,
wait, how many?
It says right now we're at a little over 2,000 decor items available, which makes sense because then you can have multiple copies of each item.
Fake news. I'm sorry.
Currently.
Fake news.
Fake news, everybody. You heard it here first, and it's not true. So that's why we're the first to report it, because it wasn't even a true thing.
Yeah. Even I mean, 2,000 is still a lot.
Yeah. 2,000 is still a crazy amount of items, right? I definitely haven't used 2,000 items in my player house, right? Have you been watching all the people on like social media making like TikToks and shorts and things about all sorts of different like creative design elements in player housing?
Sort of, but not really. Like, I've seen a couple of the Wowhead articles about like, oh, make your house into a Hobbit house, or like stuff like that. But like, I haven't seen like anything on TikTok or anything of like, hey, this is like, I'm going to show you how to make blah blah.
Yeah, my recent
like
favorite
a room in your house.
Oh yeah, because I've been seeing a bunch of like reels and stuff on Insta that are just like, here's how to build a Christmas tree. Here's the most popular one tends to be, here's how to build a little window seat in your house. And so it's cool. Now,
dude, that's awesome.
I will admit though, I've seen a lot of those videos. And now when I walk into other people's houses and I see those things, I'm like, you watch the video.
You're like, this is fake.
This is fake.
This isn't true inspiration.
You know what though? Isn't that what we all do? Like,
100%. Yeah.
Like I was trying to
I
was trying to explain to my wife the other day. Every time she's ever asked me to like fix something or build something or do something for her, I just like pull up a YouTube video that explains how to do it.
100%.
Anytime I've ever fixed something, right? Oh, my heater's having problems. Let me pull up a video of some dude fixing this exact heater.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah. I'm, low key. So this might be a cop out, but I wanted this to happen because one, I want to make content out of it because I'm a nerd, and two, I wanted this person to enjoy it because they seemed like they would enjoy it. So I haven't really, like, again, I've been kind of learning player housing and messing with it a little bit, but I've let my wife do my entire house so far.
Nice.
How's that been? It's been pretty good. We've learned a lot together, and this is her third iteration because the first time she didn't realize she could, what was it? She didn't realize she could turn things. I think that's what it was. And then the third iteration was she didn't realize she could add rooms.
Yeah.
So, and that's my fault. I did not tell her anything. I was just like, here, have at it. But I wanted to see her general opinion of player housing and what she thought of it. To be honest, it's way too it's way too much of a grind for me right now. Like I've been grinding, getting like wood so I can build things because I'm a freaking nerd, and selling it on the auction house. But I mean, my general goal is, hey, I'm gonna wait until the prices of things like plummet significantly.
That makes sense. I haven't really bought much off the auction house. Maybe a couple small things for I have like a Death Knight themed room in my house. My thing with my house is I've just been trying to make like areas that are secretive or hidden in some capacity, like hard to access or something. Still kind of working on it, still coming up with different ideas, but that's been like my general, what I've been trying to do is create these like special hidden spaces and stuff like that, which so far, by the way, has actually worked out really well. Created some cool stuff, and having fun with that. But I have I have this one room that's like a Death Knight themed kind of room going on, and I'm really happy with that one. But I did go in the auction house and buy a couple things there. That was one I actually went and did the Legion order haul for because I was like, I need those Death Knight items. I need them. There's not a lot of them. And then anything Maldraxxus related I wanted. But I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I think it's a Blasto system. Definitely time consuming, but I'm also like not doing a ton of dungeons. I'm not doing like a whole lot of other stuff, and so it's been really fun. It's also been fun because again, my wife has been enjoying it, and so like kind of doing together. We this past Sunday night, if you're listening to this podcast, not the Sunday before the podcast release, but the Sunday before that Sunday.
So 8 days.
Yeah, so 8 days ago, our guildmaster finally got back from like a big work trip she was on, and so we had to wait until she got back for us to make the neighborhood. And so all the officers get into a voice chat because our guild, we have an awesome guild, and it's a good sized guild, but we're all like sitting in voice chat together, like waiting. But we also know that the minute the neighborhood's made, like we don't know if there's like an alert that goes out or if people will see that our guildmaster's on and keep like refreshing the neighborhood because everybody wants their like special plot, right? And so we were all trying to get in and get our plots before people took them. And at first I kind of felt bad. Like at first I was like, oh, that's not fair that we like get access. Like, because my mind originally went to like, is it really fair that just because we're an officer, we get to get in there and get access before everybody else? Like, are we taking advantage of like, permissions or relational closeness to our guildmaster, right? And we had our like ex-officers in there as well, like people who served as officers in the past but aren't anymore. And then I just stopped and go, no, you know what? Everyone in this channel, in this group, actively puts on events for our guild all the time, right? Like, I myself, every Sunday, for the most part, am organizing a weekly event for our guildmates to run keys together in groups. I'm assigning groups. I'm navigating conversations. I'm like trying to make sure it's as effective as possible, creating all the infrastructure in the background. I fill in and guest raid lead when our raid leader is sick, or at the beginning of this expansion when he had to take a good chunk of a raid season off. I raid led for the beginning of that raid tier entirely, and I decided to be like, no, you know what? It's okay. This is fine. We put, and here's the deal. If anyone has a problem with it, that's okay. You know what? We can just halt all guild events for a little while, and maybe they'll get over it. But it took me a second. It took me a second to be like, no, it's okay. It's okay. It's not inappropriate. It's not like an abuse of power or whatever. It's just simply going like, hey, look, we all work really hard for this guild. We put a lot of time in for the guild, and it's a small thank you for what we do. So all I'd say, my wife and I, we were like sitting there because I had her ready to go too. So we're like waiting for the neighborhood to be created, and then I originally started building my house in like the Duskwood kind of spookier area. And I wasn't sure if I was going to end up moving it somewhere else, but I really liked the cave aesthetic I ended up building, and I didn't want to start all the way over from scratch. And I also knew the cave look wasn't going to be great in the more lit areas. It just wasn't going to look as cool. It looks spooky and cool in the Duskwood area. It doesn't look as cool elsewhere. And so, like that day, I knew our guildmaster was coming, so I was like going around there, like, okay, where do I know my guildmates don't want, right? Or the fellow officers don't want, because they're kind of all talking about what they wanted. And I was like, and where like is a good spot that both my wife and I can have plots next to each other that we would both like those plots, right? Because I don't want to be like, oh, these plots suck, but at least we're next to each other. Or like, oh, I got my wife an awesome plot because she wanted to be next to the water, but now like my plot is kind of lame. And so I think you saw it, but I found a spot where it's kind of this like little cliff in the Duskwood area, right? So I have like a little cliffside in Duskwood area overlooking the water, and then there's a river that also runs, kind of like a deep river going into the ocean that runs next to it, and then on the other side of that river is like the Westfall themed zone with another house on a cliff overlooking the water. I was like, that's perfect, because now like our houses are on like adjacent cliff faces overlooking the ocean together. And so she was very happy. I was like, this is the spot I found it. She's like, oh, that's perfect, because she also wanted to be able to like see the lighthouse and stuff. I was like, a whole list of requirements. But we got our house, and it's been awesome. I also love visiting other people's houses. I don't know if you've started doing that yet, but that's been a lot of fun.
That's creepy.
I think I don't know. I've been enjoying it. I like visiting other people's houses. One of our guildmates built like a jump puzzle only for demon hunters, and so I was trying to do that on stream, which is which is a bit fun. Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Yeah, I don't want people in my house. What if I'm trying to change or something, dude? Someone comes in on me, taking a wash. Someone comes in, like, come on.
That's true. I haven't gone that far. I don't roleplay like that or at all, so I haven't run into that issue. But yeah, it could be it could be a thing.
Hey, whoa, dude! I don't judge people. I just want them to know that, hey, if they gotta, they don't want me in their house, I won't come in, baby.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I also have my house set like that because I just didn't know how to change it. So
when you're in
I
your
figured
space.
I figured it out.
Perfect. Yeah, I wanted to visit Chicken's house. I like logged on, saw he was on, and I saw he was working in this house. I'm like, awesome. I'm gonna go pop in and like say hi, right? Why not? And then I was locked out. I was locked out of his house. I still haven't gone into your house yet, by the way.
Yeah, you'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
My wife's been doing good work on it. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Yeah, I've gotten a couple of things from dungeons too, so I'm like, this is pretty cool.
Good. There's some cool stuff out there. I saw there's a bookshelf from Academy that looks really good, but I think you get it from the new M Plus Academy coming out next season, so I don't think it's available. But it looks good. I'm like, dang it. If I could run Academy right now for it, I absolutely would.
Yeah, I've been kind of back in Remix just for a tiny little bit because I want to get enough gold to buy a couple of the Remix things. And I've been running some dungeons to try to get like some of the dungeon loot. And I got like the cool little like totem fireplace from Naltharian's Lair, and I was like, ooh, this looks pretty good.
Perfect. I do think that one's pretty cool. You're talking about the Neltharian's lair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it looks like a totem, and then they just have like a little fire in it. It's pretty cool.
It's like almost like Tauren looking, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Very, very Tauren kind of horde. Yeah, I did see that one. That's really cool. Okay, that actually brings up a point, and maybe this is like a worthwhile conversation, because again, I don't think we're going to avoid the housing conversation for a couple weeks, because it's just there's so much. It's a huge system. And if player housing isn't your thing, well, I would say two things. One, yeah, sorry, it's really such a massive system that we can't avoid talking about. Like, and it's fun. We're having genuine fun. Two, you should still probably try it. Like, even if you like look at it like that looks lame, trust me, just try it. You're so like unlimited in like what you can kind of do with it. With that said, even with that in mind, like, there are still some quirks and some limitations. It's in early access, right? And so that means that maybe it's not quite done to what we're going to see when it releases. I heard another podcast say recently, right? Like, this is the worst you'll ever see player housing. And they're kind of saying the comical way, but it rings true.
That is true.
Right? It rings true. Like player housing's just being introduced. What player housing is now versus 5 years from now, the hope is that 5 years from now, player housing is awesome, right? I would be so sad if they introduced it now and then it just kind of rotted away. But I don't think that'll be the case, because you're seeing
There's
players.
No way.
Everybody loves it. Everybody is just so deep into it, except Capo, dude. He still hasn't made a house. What a nerd.
That's not a surprise.
I gotta tell him to at least just get a plot. Just get a plot so I can teleport over.
Just get a plot, brother. That's kind of funny though. I feel like those like big guilds are just like, I don't care about player housing.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're just well, I mean, they got other things. They got beta to worry about. What
are you talking about, dude? His guildmates have been talking about how fun player housing is.
Oh, really?
Capo just has it for whatever reason. I gotta get.
I can understand why. Like, to me, player housing and kind of why I let my wife do my house, because I knew she seemed really into it.
Yeah.
And like I wanted her to kind of do it because she seemed like she wanted to.
Yeah.
To do it. So I was like, I really want you to do it. So, and I know she would do a better job than I would, but like, it's a lot of work. Like, I just don't have the time to sit around and do that and like make sure everything looks nice and kind of going around and get stuff. Although weirdly enough, I do farm mats a lot to get gold. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird. Maybe I'm just backward.
Maybe you're backwards, dude. I don't know. I would rather do player housing than farming. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Oh, I don't blame you.
Yeah. Although player housing, a lot of those mats, a lot of the resources, the decor items are expensive.
Yeah, I know. That's why. And that's the other reason why I'm kind of like, I might just lay low for a little bit and wait.
Yeah.
To kind of really get into it.
So with that said, oh, sorry, keep saying what you're saying, and then we'll change topics a little bit.
Yeah, because the market's really bad right now, but it'll go down in like a couple months to half a year.
Yeah, that's true, right? I mean, it can't stay inflated forever, right?
No, right? It never does. Mats are always like this at the beginning of like.
It's looking pretty. It's looking pretty bad right now, dude.
Oh, it's terrible.
I don't know if we're ever gonna see RAM prices. Oh wait, we're still talking about player housing, right?
Oh my gosh!
Sorry, my bad. I started changing.
No,
dude, that does scare me. By the way, off topic, but man, I know I need some PC upgrades. And I was like, oh, after Christmas, I'll slowly start replacing some parts. Maybe I'll do my either my graphics card first or do my CPU and RAM and motherboard. The problem right now is I'm on the DDR4 train. And so for me to do an upgrade, I can't just be like, oh, I'm going to upgrade my CPU or upgrade my RAM. It's got to be like all of it. You know, it's got to be the motherboard, the RAM, and the CPU all together, which sucks. It is what it is. It is what it is.
I'm in the same boat, unfortunately.
On the flip side, Shayna's really enjoying player housing, so I could always just take the leftover parts and put them in a case.
Well, that's true. Yeah. I mean, that's a good way of looking at it, to be honest.
Yeah. So not too bad. Not terribly bad. But kind of the shift topics in the realm of player housing, though, and we're going to be in the realm of player housing on this, but and it's hard because I think you haven't had a whole ton of time to play, but hopefully you talked with your wife about her experiences with it?
Yeah.
Awesome. So what I want to do, and I'm curious to see maybe some of the comments your wife has made about player housing, especially because you and I often think through the lens of WoW, right? So like one of my wife's complaints was like, ugh, why do I have to keep going out and doing all these like quests and achievements to get stuff? You and you and I don't think about that. Like you and I are like, that's a little difficult, but if I want it, I'll go do it. Because for us, that's just the game. It's like, oh, I want that piece of gear, I'll go do it. If I want that transmog, I'll go do it, right? Like we're used to that. That's the game. But for somebody who like only wants to do the player housing, it's kind of different. So I think your wife will bring a little bit different perspective, maybe in the conversations you two have had. But what I want to know, what are some areas, maybe like 2 or 3 things that maybe you and I could come up with that we would love to see change with player housing by the time Midnight releases, right? Like that we're just like, this is cool, but it would be a lot nicer if they did such. I think across the board, player housing is a win. If there's anybody working at Blizzard who's listened to our podcast, which would be awesome, I want you to know, like, before we say anything more, right, before we critique or make requests, this system y'all released is incredible. It's fantastic. And we are so happy with it. We're having fun. I mean, listen, both of our wives have been doing it, right? That's a win. Like, that's already a win. That means it's good. That means it's good. Like, what you've done is good. So, with that said, though, like, if there were things that we were like, it would be so cool to see this change, or I'm not sure I like this currently in the system, that's what I want to discuss right now. Like, what are those things that would be cool changes to player housing?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously something that is going to come because it's literally like already in WoW. It's just not released yet. I think they have to do something related to a renown or something with player housing. I think, and obviously it's already going to happen because it's already in the game. It just hasn't been released yet. And I know this is kind of a copy answer, but this is like literally the first thing that came to my mind. I think it just needs something in terms of an easy quest line, almost, if you will, to say like, hey, here's how you could get like 20 pieces of decor, like not necessarily really easily, but it's, hey, do X, Y, and Z, and you can do this, right? I think that is one thing that it's lacking right now. It's not like, hey, here's an easy way to get like 20 or 30 pieces of decor other than just buying them from the vendors in the founders. Founders, what is it? Founders Hold? So
Founders Point. Founders Point, yeah.
Founders Point, sorry.
Yeah.
So I think that would be something that I personally would hope that they are adding it, and I think that will kind of alleviate some of that, like, hey, like I gotta go do this for this, like this just feels weird. Like this almost gives you like a clear, like, oh, this is things I can get for player housing through X, instead of like, okay, how do I figure out what to get for player housing? Like, oh, I gotta look it up. Like, that's fine, but like, okay, like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's the same thing. Like, even me, like I was running, I kind of jumped back into Remix just for like a week probably or two to kind of get some more bronze, to just grab a couple more things and do that. And I was just doing some dungeons for quests. And at the end of Upper, there was a piece of decor that dropped. And I was like, wait, what? Like, they're putting decor in dungeons? I mean, I kind of figured they would, but I was like, this is kind of interesting. Like, it didn't even cross my mind that like, hey, running dungeons, even group finder dungeons on Remix would get me decor. And so then I ran a couple more and was able to get a few items, but there's not like a clear, like, hey, do this, get decor, right? And I think that's what Endeavors is what they're called, right?
Sort of.
I think that's...
Yeah, sort of. So... there is, if you open up the housing menu, so a couple things. If you open up the housing menu, there kind of is a renown track. There's like a renowned track for housing.
Yeah, it's like kind of copy though.
Yeah, right. It's nothing crazy, but I suspect we're gonna see it get crazier when Midnight comes out.
Yeah, I
right?
think it will too. Yeah,
It really only ranks up to 5 right now. So
and it's not easy to rank up.
No, but endeavors are gonna be the main source of experience for that, and we just don't have endeavors yet. So that's part of the reason why it's not easy to rank up.
Yes.
Right, but then yeah, to your question, there's no quest that's just like, yo, you want like a basic starter package for housing decor, right? Go do this tutorial quest and you'll get a starter package. Which I think for somebody who's just like all they want to do is go in and do player housing, that I think would be very welcomed. Again, I think you and I have a different perspective because we're used to WoW being like, oh, I want that. I have to go run a dungeon. Sounds good. I'll go run a dungeon. Right? Shayna, my wife, as wonderful as she is, does not want to run dungeons, right? And so, like, for her, it's like, I have to run a dungeon? I have to,
right.
Right? Like,
I have to run a dungeon to get that?
Right? She's like, I just want to decorate my house, dude. I don't want to... Don't make me, like, try and keep up my DPS rotation while everyone's watching. You know, like, that's not what she wants, right? With that said, though, at the end of the day, it's still World of Warcraft, right? Like, that's, you know, it makes sense that you would get stuff from, like, the core gameplay elements.
Yes. I agree. Oh, yeah.
You know, I can actually say this in a non-sarcastic way, which is crazy. I can't believe in the year 2025 I can finally say this line and it's not sarcastic. But this isn't Hello Kitty Island Adventure, right? And I mean that actually, like, as a weirdly good comparison somehow, where... yeah, you know, the source, even though I think maybe the house decorating is a much better system, the source of rewards and decor is maybe a little bit more mechanically challenging than the source of rewards and decor would be in, like, a Hello Kitty Island Adventure or a, wow, I can't think of the name of it. Not Stardew Valley. Oh, well, whatever.
Stardew Valley?
No. Animal Crossing, right? Like, WoW's gonna be naturally a more mechanically challenging game. And so that can be like a little bit of a leap. So I get what you're saying there. Having some sort of like bundle that at least gets people excited, because you really it's hard to be excited about decorating your house if you don't have anything to decorate your house with, right?
Or like know how to get it like right off the bat. Like that's the thing. Like, and there's not like a preview of like, hey, like I'm forced to like and I think you mentioned it earlier, like my wife, when she was, you know, decorating my house, she had like up on Google, like World of Warcraft housing decor inspiration, because she's like, I just don't know where to get certain things from. And I'm hoping that if I find something, it will tell me how to get it. And maybe you can help me get it. And I'm like, yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Right.
It's funny because, okay, so I think you're right. Well, I have two thoughts. One, I think it would be cool if they had like a quest chain in player housing. So after you buy your housing plot, there's like a quest chain, like an optional quest chain you can do. And it's like, first thing, go do this and you'll get a housing item, right? But everything you do on the quest chain are things that you can get housing items from, right? So like, maybe it's like the first thing is like travel to your faction capital and go buy some faction themed things from them, right? It's like, oh, there are vendors out in the world and I can go find those vendors out in the world, right? That's cool to know. I should remember that, right? And then another one should be like, go to Shadowfang Keep and clear all the enemies in there and you will get this rug and complete the quest. And you're like, oh, doing dungeons can maybe reward housing decor. Okay, right? Like, just things that kind of show you how that works. If you do go into the housing menu in game, though, if you go into the housing menu in game, there's a second tab. It's not very obvious because normally tabs in WoW are along the bottom of a pop-up window, but in this case, the tabs are on the right side, which is weird. But there's a second tab, and that second tab will actually show you all available housing items. And I think a general short note on how that item can be acquired, I think. But again, at the end of the day, you're going to have to go to Google and be like, Google, where the heck is so-and-so? Or how do I get this item? What I will say though, too, again, the give and take a little bit because it's an interesting conversation. If I'm also being fair, if my wife wants to do some decorating around the house and figure out what she wants our real house to look like, she's probably going to Pinterest, right? She's probably scrolling through Instagram, right? So the idea of like going online to get inspiration or to find items or right, like it's actually, even though it should probably be more in game than it is to a degree, there's always gonna be that element of like that's natural, right? Like it's actually natural to like go look these things up.
Yeah, but like to that note, like even if your wife looks something up on Pinterest, she's not gonna be like, oh, now where do I go find this? Maybe I should go look in the woods.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she's gonna be like, oh, I gotta go to Target or like look on Amazon, right? Like she's not gonna be like, oh, where do I find this? I have no idea. I think that's the big kicker. Like I just want to know, like, hey, where's the best thing to get? What's the best way to get player housing items, right? Is it through dungeons? Is it through questing, achievements? Like I there's not like a clear sign of like, hey, if you want to get player housing items, you should do X, Y, and Z. And I'm not saying there necessarily needs to be that. I'm just saying I think that would be very helpful.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you, right? I just think that like some of those tools exist a little bit, but they could make it a little bit more obvious, right? I think that again, that tab in game is actually really helpful. But I didn't realize it was there for the longest time. I like stumbled upon it like a week into player housing by accident. And I was like, yo, wait, hold up. This has been here the whole time? I've been going to Google and going to like random housing websites to find this info, and it's existed all this time.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that is helpful. And I mean, it does give a sense of it gives a sense of, hey, there is means in WoW to do it, but like I get the sense like WoW is heavily trying to lean against add-ons and maybe not lean against them, but like create a game that doesn't necessarily require them. And I think this would be helpful for that conversation of, hey, what does player housing, decor and even achievement hunting at that aspect, how does that look when player housing isn't a thing, or when add-ons aren't a thing? Sorry. Blanking.
Well, I don't think we're ever going to see the full. I'm pretty confident we're never going to see the full removal of add-ons from WoW.
No, not anytime soon, at least.
I don't think anytime ever. To be honest, I think combat add-ons.
I agree.
I think combat add-ons only became a problem because they actually made development of the game harder, right? They actually made it harder for Blizzard to develop the game because every time they try to develop something, an add-on starts solving that problem, and it became like a power scaling issue, right? Whereas I think collector add-ons and roleplay add-ons and such similar stuff, will always be a benefit, right? Blizzard's never going to be like, oh, we hate the fact that you guys have an add-on that helps you track down which items you haven't gotten yet for your player house, right? Like Blizzard's never going to have that's never going to bother them. But I do also agree with you that they are trying to move towards a base game, and add-on. Like if you don't have any add-ons, the game still feels very viable, very enjoyable, very playable, right? And so they do need to answer some of those questions. I don't remember where I was going topically though on that. Oh, speaking of add-ons, Plumber. If you haven't gotten Plumber yet, Plumber is a really good one. Right now for player housing, they've added the Plumber. So they've added the ability where you can easily place extra copies of an item. So if you're like, oh, I need 5 chairs, rather than opening up your menu every time and pulling a chair, you can just copy and paste your chair. Now, I don't think it copies all the settings of the chair. I think it just lets you place another copy of the chair, right? So then you still have to move it, but it saves you opening up the menu, which is time, right? That's time consuming. On top of that, they've also added a coloring functionality now where you can copy the coloring from one item to another similar item. So if you've started to dye it, you can copy that from one to another. So let's say you dyed a chair purple and blue. then you could just copy that purple and blue to another chair, and then to another chair, and then to another chair real fast. And I imagine if they have those two features going, that they're still working. They're still working on stuff. I would not be surprised if down the road their like copy item feature was actually more precise, where it's like, oh, it copies this item, but not just copying it. It copies it at the exact same size and angle that the item before was placed, right? Which I think would be really good.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah,
that's one thing.
I mean,
There's no true copy paste, which is kind of a pain in the butt sometimes.
I'm not gonna lie, low key, I thought you were just like making that up. Like Plumber's just like, oh, this is like, I thought you were trying to meme me for a second. Like,
no memes here. I'm not memeing at all.
Because I was like, huh, that's kind of weird. Just because of, the terms of this episode. And you're just like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Nope, no.
What episode is this?
We are on episode 67.
67.
Oh, dang.
Oh, sorry.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, I had to. I had to meme you.
Yo, I was playing D&D the other night. We're gonna
start this podcast over.
we're gonna get back to the conversation in just a second. But I was playing D&D the other night, and our dungeon masters kids were there. Hanging out with us. He has like 3 little ones, and they're sweet. They're the sweetest kids, but it wasn't their bedtime yet, so they wanted to sit and watch us play, which is totally fine. And but one of the kids next to me kept going 6, 7, and every time he would do it, I'd be like 8, 9, and he'd be like, no,
oh my gosh, dude.
And he'd be like,
you're such a boomer.
And he'd be like 6, 7. I'd be like 8, 9. That is like, by the way, that is the I'm telling. If you're listening right now and you need to overcome the 6, 7 thing. That's it. I know we got our faithful fathers who listen to the podcast. Probably got some moms too. Listen, I'm telling you right now, they hate it. They hate it. Which, by the way, it's funny for Chicken to call me a boomer because I'm usually the best at keeping up with like
you
modern
are.
slang and kid talk, right? I was a youth pastor for a while, right? That's like my specialty. And my wife always comments, she's like, I don't know how you're always so relevant when you talk to kids. I was like, it's a curse. But I'm telling you, like, if you just every time they go 6, 7, you just go 8, 9, 8, 9, and they hate it. They hate it,
no!
And they're like, no, you don't get it. And they like try to explain it to you, and they're like, no, it's 6, 7, and you go 8, 9 every time, and they hate it. So if you want to get them to stop, that's the trick. That's the trick right there. Just say 8.
Just like boom them out of it.
Yeah, boom them out of it. But back into our regularly scheduled topics at hand. Another thing, again, the copy paste feature, right? The add-on that can maybe copy paste. I think that should for sure be a feature in the game, right? Copy an item exactly as it is, like same color, same position. So long as you have the die in your bag, same color, same position, same size, everything. That would be really awesome. I think they should maybe be a little bit more generous with how far into a wall an item can go. Or the floor that I can go. I'm kind of annoyed when I try to seat and I'm a little bit lower and it just won't quite go a little bit lower. I get that they don't want you to be able to place items that are actually like outside, completely outside, and then you can just never get that item back. But it could be a little bit more lenient than it is now. That's one area that I'm kind of on. And then one thing that if Blizzard's listening and they're like, if there's anything that you guys would take away from what I'm saying. More than the copy paste function, which I think is coming. I think they're already working on that. It's this. Please, Blizzard, I beg you. Please let me use the same items for both my Horde and Alliance houses. I went to go make a Horde house. Yeah. I went to go make a Horde house. You have to emphasize that D, by the way, every time you say it. I want to go make a Horde house. And I went inside. I went to go start placing objects and realized that once they're placed in one house, they can't be placed in the other. And I immediately walked out and just logged back into my Alliance character and started working on my Alliance house again. Because I was just like, oh my gosh. You're telling me that I have to go find a whole new set of items just to now decorate this place. That was stupid. So I left.
Wait, do you have 2 houses in the guild neighborhood or just...
No. So you can have one house in the Alliance neighborhood and one house in the Horde neighborhood. And
I didn't know there was a Horde neighborhood.
Well, there's a Horde version of like, right? Because obviously Founder's Point is very alliance coded, right? It's very human coded.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
But then you also have the Horde one. It's like Razor Wind Shores or something, which is really beautiful. The zone is gorgeous. It's a gorgeous zone. More exotic, I think, than Founder's Point. But our guild has a like Horde guild. It's really like an alt guild. We just kind of park alts in there that we're not really playing. But can I be honest? I don't even know why it exists. I actually have no clue why this guild exists. It was kind of vaguely no, because we had a different guild for our Horde characters back before the. I don't even know. I don't even understand why this guild exists. But it's funny because we're using it for the place like Horde houses, which is cool. But I have to keep reminding people, like, hey, like, don't put your, like, if it's a Horde character that you're playing pretty consistently, or even at all, like, don't put it in that guild, because nobody's actively chatting in that guild.
Yeah, no one plays or anything.
It's like that. I was like, put like random alt, like your random banker alt that you're never going to touch, right, in there. Because otherwise what happens is every time you play that character, sure, you're in the Horde neighborhood that we have now, but, like, you can't talk to anybody, right? Like, guild chat's gone, and that's lonely. I love guild chat. Our guild is so active, like, so stinking active. Like, it's boring when I log in on a character that's not in the guild and there's no like chat going on. But
nah, dude, that's the best.
I don't know. I actually haven't put my house, my Horde side house, because I made it and then left because I didn't want to decorate without having my items. I don't know if I'm gonna put it in the guild neighborhood on that side. What I might do, and I'm thinking about it, when Midnight comes out, I'm really thinking about making a Warband charter neighborhood on the Horde side. We'll just have to see how the charter neighborhoods work out exactly. And if it works out correctly, I'd love to have one set up for the podcast listeners and stuff. The only thing that makes me nervous about doing that is it's already kind of a pain sometimes trying to what's the best way? It's kind of a pain sometimes trying to, because we like later in the podcast we're going to talk about our guild, how much we love our guild, and how everybody should join our guild, and you should 100%. But it is hard to get schedules to line up correctly where like somebody who wants to join our guild is online while someone else who can invite them is also online, right?
Right.
Now, we always have people online in our guild, but I don't try to burden everybody with it. So I have like a small group of people who do those invites. And so we make it work. Like, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. And it works. And we have like a good crew that helps make it happen. So it's not really a stressful thing. So if you're thinking about joining the guild, not going to stress me out. Come do it. Just be a little patient. Might take a few days to get that invite. Only because we just have to get schedules to line up. Although, I guess people could just they could request an invite in-game, which is probably the more effective way to do it. I should maybe add a note about that. I'm going to add a note about that to the bot, so the bot will tell people. Anyways, off topic. Point being, though, it just depends on how complex charter neighborhoods are and how much involvement, like, I would have to have with the charter neighborhood. Because if we could set up the charter neighborhood where it's like, yo, anybody in the Swag Fam community in game, right? Because we have that. I have like an in-game community for like my YouTube listeners and podcast people, or whatever other Twitch streaming stuff. Any of that, awesome. Like if they can just join the community on their own and then make a house in the neighborhood, that's sick. But if everybody who joins the neighborhood, like, I have to personally invite them to it, I probably won't do it. Only because that might be a little too much. That might be a little bit too much. And then every time, like, I'm find myself logging on as like as an obligation to help somebody. And
that's a lot.
Yeah, that kind of drains it. When you feel like you have to log into the game as an obligation, it stops feeling like a game sometimes, you know. And so that's not a knock on anybody. Like, nobody really calls me that problem, but you just try to watch out for those things at a time. So I want to see how charter neighborhoods work. If it can be kind of a automated process, I'm all for it. But I don't know how that works, right? I should probably look into it. I'm sure it was tested on the beta at some point, right? Right? Probably. So would love to see how that works.
Are you ready to hear my other two?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm pretty sure this doesn't exist because I haven't been able to find it. But I want them to have like some kind of like snap grid. They do have like a snap grid, but I want it to, and this might be like a throw for anyone that doesn't know, but I kind of want it to work like PowerPoint, where it like lines up with other boxes that are in your like, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like how it like perfectly lines up with other things in it, where I just haven't been able to get that to work with the snap grid. Like I want it to like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like that's pretty easy to implement, them to kind of implement some kind of grid system where it kind of recognizes where other things are located in respect to it. And maybe even just like, hey, I want to put like 8 tables in like what I would consider like a mess hall or something, right? And I want them to be in like a pattern like this. Like it's kind of weird to think, but like almost like a CAD coding system where you can like say like, hey, I want these to be like 2 inches away from each other, 2 units away from each other.
Yeah.
I could maybe see that coming. Again, it might be kind of far-fetched, but you know, that would be neat. And the other thing that kind of goes in with that, I've struggled to kind of see from like a top-down perspective and be able to move things, but I think if one or the other kind of came, I'd be okay with it. Just the ability to be able to like, okay, I want to see it from a top down, other than like adding rooms, individual rooms on the overall structure.
Yeah.
And being able to just make like minor movements with things from like a top down perspective. That kind of makes it a little copy, because it's like, oh, well, then it's kind of just like a top down game. And I'm like, yeah, but like it kind of helps in like certain aspects. I'm not going to play the game like that all the time. It's going to be helpful when I need it. And then I'll probably just go back to the regular UI. But being able to see things in top-down view and being able to move them in accordingly would probably be very helpful.
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely would. I don't think I've ever used grid mode, as dumb as it sounds. I think it's awesome. I just haven't, for whatever reason, used it. I don't know why. I like working with the little arrows. I do the little XYZ axis mode, which is what I tend to work with.
Oh yeah. I'm just like, I'm so like nitpicky and like so like things got to be perfect, that like I like to be able to snap things and them being like perfectly symmetric, where I'm just like, oh, if I can't do it, man,
that makes sense.
Just like makes me cringe.
That totally makes sense to me. Yeah, I think some of those are good critiques, good things I think we could see added in. I'm trying to rack my brain if there's like one more, but I don't really have anything else. Again, for the most part, I've really Oh, you know what?
Uh-oh.
I do.
I do know what.
I do. Well, I have two. One.
Two?
Yeah, I have 2 more things. One, I think you should be able to delete rooms in your house that other rooms are connected to. And I understand the problem that could cause.
Oh, yes.
Right? The problem that could cause,
100%.
right, is those rooms become unaccessible, but that's fine. I have a room in my house that I really wanted to change so bad. But the only way I could change that room was by deleting every room in my house, right? So the only way this one room could go away was to delete every other room that was in my home.
Or like a substitute option.
Yeah. And
like where you could just be like,
you could just sub another room in.
Sub it in, yeah.
And I'd be fine with that too. That'd be okay. And that's the issue I have. What they could do, by the way, because they might be like, oh, well, the system has to work the way it does, because when you delete a room that you're in, it forces you back to the hallway. They could just have a way of saying, hey, look, anytime you delete a room that other rooms are connected to, right? Like in terms of like, as it's a cross between 2 rooms, it just always, no matter where your character is, always forces your character back into the entry, right? That would be the solution to that problem. And then it's up to you to figure out, okay, well, do I just put another room back in there that's roughly the same size to cover that ground? Do I move a couple things around to make it work, or do I just straight then have to delete everything and start over, right? Which is whatever. But then too, the second thing, kind of in that same note, I would love to see more flexibility with how the entryways work, especially in terms of, move. I think the entryway should be able to be movable to different locations. There's like some sort of coding thing where it's like, but coding that's really hard, which I would I could understand that. Probably a little bit weird, but I don't. Well, I think I'm trying to find a way to. A couple things with the entryways. One, I think I'd like them to be able to be moved because there was a point like with my house when I built it where I originally wanted it to be like a cave where when you come in, you immediately start going down, right? Like you're going underground. And that just wasn't going to be doable, right? Like you can't. Your entry always has to be level 1. Like your entryway always has to be ground floor.
Yeah.
Which in the normal house totally makes sense. Blizzard was probably like, why should that even why does that even matter? Well, I want to build a cave and I want to go underground. I want to go down, right? Like as soon as I enter my house, I want to go down, which you can't do. 2, you always load in right where the like on the actual floor plane itself. I wish, and it is what it is, but like in my house when you load in, you actually load into the floor a little bit because I have like a rock on the ground that you're right. It's supposed to be like the ground level. And so you're actually loading in, and the door is lifted up to account for that. But the player still loads in kind of weird. And I don't know what the fix for that is. I don't know if it's like, oh, well, hey, now when you load in, you actually load in like halfway up off the ground and it just kind of drops you a little bit, right? And that's how they do that. But then what if you have stuff in the ceilings? Now are you stuck in the ceiling, right? Like, so I don't know necessarily what the answer to that is. Maybe they say, hey, look, like, whatever height your door is at, like maybe instead of entryways, it's your the front door, right? The front door becomes the loading point where when you put a front door in, you always load a few inches in front of that door with at the same height as that door, right? I don't know what the answer to that is. But then do people start building towers where the moment you load in someone's house, you just fall to your death? Is there even fall damage inside of houses?
That'd be awesome.
I haven't tested it yet, but I know I could probably test it in like Dark's house because he has a giant jump puzzle going all the way up.
Yeah, see, I think things like that are pretty cool. I'll have to go check out Dark's house at some point.
It took me a little while. You have to do it on Demon Hunter, by the way.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, you did say that.
It's designed for that, which honestly I thought made it a little trickier than a normal jump puzzle because you have to like learn how to like glide onto the exact spot you want to glide onto. Yeah. Which was fun. Which was a lot of fun. However, that's a lot of WoW housing, and we haven't even gotten into like any of the other stuff that we got into. We haven't even gotten into some of our listener questions, which we have some pretty good ones. We have some pretty good listener questions today that I'm kind of excited to talk about. That actually though, we'll talk about that later. But kind of moving forward, another thing I was doing this week, I was actually doing on stream because I had forgotten about it till I was streaming and I walked by the guy. But the Brawlers Guild is back. Now, if you've never done the Brawlers Guild, I don't remember when it left. Like, I think maybe BFA or something. Sometime when I wasn't playing WoW was when it left.
Yeah, I think BFA.
Yeah, I don't know where it is in Orgrimmar. In Stormwind, though, the Brawlers Guild is located under the Deep Run Tram. It's actually a sick location. And I've been doing it. I've actually been having fun doing the Brawlers Guild stuff. It's nothing crazy, but it's just content. And it kind of naturally forces you to slow down because when you queue up for the Brawlers Guild, you have to wait in line behind everyone else's queued up. But it tells you how far back in line you are, right? Because everyone else who's also queued up has to watch all the fights going on. And so, like, while I was streaming, so I just, like, I had my guitar in hand. I was just noodling on guitar for a minute while I waited in the queue. And so it would like count down, I'd be like, you're now number 4. Now you're number 3. And you just wait till it's your turn, but you can kind of like rank up, do some fights, get some cool stuff. There's some housing decor in there too. There's like a pair of boxing gloves you can get for your wall that I really want. So I'm working. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm working my way towards those. But the Brawler Guild's back. If you haven't done it yet, I would definitely suggest doing that. New Paladin races are out. Chicken, have you looked at those? Or potential? I think they're pretty all but guaranteed at this point, from what I understand.
I have not, but I'm a huge fan. I mean, I think more races.
We're looking
on everything, as long as it makes sense in the lore.
I like how you include that because you know me too well. And
well,
that's,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't want something to not make sense, right? Like that'd be weird if it was like, oh, you can have a Tauren demon hunter because Timmy over here has been crying for the last year about it. Like sorry, like I want to, I want to have wings in real life.
Yeah.
That was weird. But yeah, you know what I mean. Like,
Oh yeah. So there's a few races. You have Night Elf, Coltiran, and it appears Void Elf getting Paladins. Now I have a few thoughts on the topic. I don't want to go crazy into it because I feel like I have exhausted this before. And so I'm going to try and take a different angle. In the past, my answer for this was like, well, actually, Night Elves make sense. Let me just get the Night Elves and Coltiran out of the way. Night Elves make sense. We've kind of seen that happening since Legion. It's nice that it's finally happening in game for players to have access to. There's no reason Night Elves can't be Paladins, right? We know that they can be priests, and we know that they can wield holy magic as priests, right? Of a loon. They can kind of wield a loon's magic in that way. And on top of that, the Night Elves have been working alongside the humans and the dwarves and the Draenei, right? They're living right next to Draenei. So humans, dwarves, and Draenei, all of which have strong paladins, and paladins as core parts of their culture. Maybe not the dwarves as a core part of the culture, but humans and Draenei for sure, paladins as a core part of the culture. It makes total sense that the Night Elves would watch them and be like, yo, wait a second, we could do that. Oh, we could easily do that. We could make our priests wield swords. That's no problem, right? Like if anybody, it's the warrior, like the Amazonian Night Elves who could for sure figure out paladins.
Yeah,
no brainer, right? No brainer. Night Elves should have had paladins like 2 expansions ago, maybe 3 expansions ago. Coltirans, again, Coltirans make sense. They have priests. The only reasons why Coltirans don't have paladins, didn't already have paladins at the start, was probably because they were somewhat isolated away from the humans of the rest of the Eastern Kingdoms, right? Who were kind of more into the whole paladin thing. So it makes sense that the Coltirans just didn't have it, but it seemed more like they didn't have it because it just was a little bit more foreign. But they already had priests. They as humans, they kind of already had that structure set up, right? That reverence set up. So there, again, no surprise. There's like nothing about. In fact, the Coltiran paladins we see are very traditional in the sense that we're encountering, right? The one that gets me though is the Void Elf paladin. 2 thoughts. One, I think there's other races that could easily have gotten paladins before Void Elves, right? Orcs for sure. We already see like the Mag'har orc priests coming through, right? So we could have seen kind of maybe some paladin stuff happening there. I think gnomes, right? Gnome paladins probably should have existed for a while. No reason why they couldn't have really any race, right? Like really, there's no reason at this point, because you have to remember at this point in WoW lore, so much time has passed with these races all intermingling and seeing each other's fighting styles and being inspired by each other's like belief systems or whatever else, that there's really no reason that any race can't have any class for the most part. I say that with a caveat though, right? And that caveat is kind of Void Elves and Lightforged Draenei. Now you might be like, oh, but Swag, what about undead paladins? Yeah, we've actually had holy wielding undead for a minute in Warcraft lore. The concept being for the undead, when they wield the holy, it's actually painful to them. It hurts. But some of them, a very, very small select few, still choose to do it. Right? Awesome. Canonically, that makes sense. That's great. Cool, right? You also have the... you also have, like, let's say... I'm trying to think of, like, a good example of things that you would argue maybe against, right? Mechagnomes, right? Mechagnomes, you would be like, oh, can mechagnomes ever be a druid? That doesn't make sense. They like robots. I could make the argument, no, there's actually a small group of mechagnomes who, because again, you have to remember, a lot of the mechagnomes were kind of almost forced, if not forced, into having their limbs swapped out, right? Like their leader was kind of bonkers nuts, right? Trying to force them to become like, the original mechagnomes. And so you could have this crew that's like, yo, we swapped our limbs out for mechanical parts. And in doing so, we actually realized how good the natural like design of our bodies was. Even though technically their natural design was as robots to begin with, whatever, right? They could make an argument that's like, oh, wow, like having done this, we regret it and want to like get back to more natural roots. And we're actually maybe they're pursuing druidism as a way to bring back on the curse of flesh again, or somehow revert or undo the mechanical process, right? You can make that argument. That'd be easy. I wouldn't be like blown away by that, right? I'd be like, okay, cool, makes sense. They're trying to do something a little bit different. Again, same with normal gnomes, right? A small group that's just like, no, we want to practice druidism because it looks cool, right? Not every gnome has to be like against nature, right? Like, and not that gnomes are, right? Same with goblins, right? Goblins are kind of interesting because it's hard for them to have a reverence for something, but it doesn't mean a couple can't, right? I'm okay with that, right? The stereotype doesn't have to apply to everybody in the crew. Where Lightforged Draenei and Void Elves, though, become unique compared to every other race in World of Warcraft, and I think this is Blizzard's fault. I think Blizzard wrote themselves into a very lazy hole back in Legion, and now they have to figure it out, and it's on them to figure it out, right? Is that the Lightforged Draenei are Lightforged, and the Void Elves are Void infused, right? Both of them are empowered by a source, right? Whether it's the light or whether it's the void, they're both empowered or powered by those things. So my argument, in the past, my argument would have been like, yo, Blizzard, that's great that you want to add paladins to Void Elves, but why don't you make them Mage Knights instead, right? Or Spellbreakers, where it works like a paladin in every conceivable way, except instead of holy magic, they're using fire magic for ret and frost for defense and time arcane for holy, right? For the healing spec, right? Yeah. That's what I would have argued in the past, and I like that idea. I think I think creatively, that's probably the coolest option Blizzard could go with. With that said, I also get it, Blizzard. That's a crazy amount of work. But what they could do, and again, what I want to see, and I don't even know all of Aonara Dawnshade's story and lore. I'm going to have to be doing some digging into that as we get a little bit closer to midnight. But what they could do is they could pull maybe a play that's similar to the orcs. And I hope maybe this is the route they go. That they say, hey, look, if a void elf wants to embrace the light, let's say a void elf, because again, the idea of the void elves was that they were pursuant of using the void for power, and then the void kind of cursed them in their pursuit of trying to use the void for power, right? And which is how they became void elves, right? They got void infused. A ton of them went crazy, but most of them were trying to fight it off, right? It's like a whole thing. Okay, what if in that attempt, right, like after becoming infused with the void, they kind of lived with that for a while, and then when they encountered the light, they were like, oh, actually, I hate the void. The void has been horrendous to me. The void has ruined my life, right? The void is really obnoxious for me to deal with, and I want to leave it behind, right? I wouldn't be surprised if it was like, okay, these void elves embrace the light, whether they're holy priests or paladins. They're embracing the light, and in doing so, the light is actually cleansing them of the void. Now, maybe like the orcs, right? Their skin is still purple, just as the orcs were, infused with fel, and their skin turns green. You know, when they stopped being infused with fel, their skin didn't magically turn back, right? It stayed green. Maybe the void elves is like, oh no, your skin's still purple, and your children's skin may also be purple. Which actually, I don't really totally understand how that works. They have to change your literal DNA. Okay, but that's a whole different conversation. Right? But maybe your skin still stays purple. So for all intents and purposes, you're a void elf, except your maybe the tentacles have like the tentacle options on the hairstyle have a little bit more of a yellow glow to them than a purple glow to them. And maybe the void elf racial abilities are kind of the same thing, where they have like a yellow glow to them instead of a purple glow to them, right? So, and that way it's kind of like, oh, it's a void elf, It's a part of the Void Elf faction, but it's actually no longer infused with Void, and holy magic has cleansed it. The light has cleansed it. I would be all for that. I'd be like, cool, that's awesome. That's great. The other option, which is the same thing but lazier, Blizzard just says that that's what happens, but their racial abilities and their design aesthetics are still the same, but Blizzard just goes, oh yeah, they're cleansed of the Void because of the light. But then like actual in-game mechanics are still the same because they don't want to put the time or effort in to change that. That's a lazy way to do it. I would live with that because I could at least say, well, canonically, that's how it works, right? Canonically, this is how it works. Kind of like how, right, canonically, undead were pretty much only shadow priests, right? Or canonically, void elves were only shadow priests, right? Yeah, you can play a holy priest void elf because of game mechanics, but canonically, they were only shadow priests. You know, that would be the argument. However, what I'm afraid is going to happen, and what it seems like based on the little bit of reading that I've done, based upon calling Ayanara the wielder of the eclipse, is they're going to try and pull off some like, oh, look, it's half void, half shadow, ooh, wah, wah. Which maybe, here's the thing. If that's like a general theme of Midnight, of this like void shadow mix, I might be okay with it. I might be like, okay, they're creating something. The Void Elves encountered this Void Shadow mix, and now they're trying to incorporate it into how they do their thing. I might be okay with that. However, there's also a part of me that's just like, I think it's a cop-out. I think it's lazy writing. And the reason why I would say it's lazy writing is because sometimes the limitations of the world are what make the world so beautiful. And so when Blizzard comes around and they're like, oh, yeah, you know how like back in the day, the light was finicky and would like literally just leave people if they dabbled in like other forces? You remember how like the orcs got sick with a little disease that Gul'dan made? And now, or not that Gul'dan. Yeah. Oh, no. The Draenei got sick with a little disease that Gul'dan made, and all of a sudden the light abandoned them and they couldn't be paladins anymore. Well, guess what? That's the light doesn't work that way anymore. That's gone, right? I think that's lazy writing. I think it's lazy writing to be like, oh, the world building we set up in the past is gone. I like this concept of the light. And I know people are like, oh no, the light's built based on willpower. The light's a willpower thing. Sure. Okay. Tell that to the broken who got sick and can no longer wield the light. I promise you it's not a willpower issue. The light abandoned them because they were diseased with fel. Yeah. Right? The light abandoned them because they were diseased with fel. That's not a willpower issue, right? And that's what I'm curious about with the Void Elves is like, I want it, like I want them to come up with a reason that actually makes sense within the story of the game. And we've talked to some people who are just like, well, you know, Blizzard's going to write what Blizzard's going to write. Okay, cool. That's fine. I'm still going to complain about it if it's retconning, right? Or if it's trying to like upend like what has it. And I get it. It's hard because it's a 30-year-old story, right? Like we're talking about since the beginning of Warcraft, like a 30-year-old story. And the people writing on it now weren't the ones who wrote that logic back then, but that logic exists. So now you have to live by that logic and write by that logic. And so we'll see. Again, I'm not opposed to Void Elves becoming paladins. I just want it to be like, oh, yo, that's a sick way that they became and not just sticking like, oh, it's cool, they're half void, half light, but like, oh, yeah, there's pride. Like those paladins are going through something uniquely special that's really cool. I don't know. I'm waiting to see it. Again, though, why don't we have Worgen paladins? Why don't we have like gnome paladins, right? Like orc paladins, right? There's so many races. I probably should have paladins right now. Long before Void Elves get them. It does seem weird, right? Void Elves are getting paladins. Void Elves are getting demon hunters. I get that Void Elves are probably a little important in this expansion, but it's for that exact same reason that they probably should throw a bone to the other races.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. Back onto our list of topics. Gonna rant on that one. Diablo 4, if you pre-order the new expansion for Diablo 4, I think you get some housing decor. It's cool. It's cool housing decor, although there's a chessboard, and the chessboard is pretty sick.
Yeah. It's it's kind of neat. You know.
Am I going to pre-order it? Probably not, but there's a cool chessboard.
Yeah, that's kind of I don't know why Blizzard's been doing that. Like when they did it for player housing to like other games, I feel like that was okay, but I feel like the other way around, it's kind of interesting. Like Overwatch 2 is free to play. Like it feels kind of weird that they're like kind of putting it into like Diablo. I don't know. Do you disagree? Like,
it's been good. That's been going on forever. That's been like happening forever. And WoW, there is actually a surprisingly massive player-based crossover between WoW and Diablo.
Really?
Yeah, Blizzard players are like historically pretty dedicated to Blizzard games.
Oh.
Yeah. Which is kind of crazy. I mean, again, though, to give credit where credit's due, right? Blizzard's pretty good at making, like, the best games. Yeah. And somebody's going to get mad at me for saying that. Somebody's going to be like, oh, Swag, what the heck are you talking about? Blizzard makes crappy games. You're stupid. But here's the thing.
They make pretty decent games.
Here's the thing. Blizzard made the best RTS games. The best RTS games. Like, if we're talking about Warcraft and StarCraft, incredible. All right. Then Blizzard went ahead and made, and now there might be better RTS games now, but again, Blizzard hasn't been updating Warcraft or StarCraft in like 20 years, right? So, right, like, right. But for their time, right? Again, Blizzard made the best, and I can say that with confidence, the best MMORPG out there, right? No, there is no. I don't care what anybody says. There is no MMORPG better than World of Warcraft. If there is, show me the numbers. That's all I ask. Show me numbers. But there's not, right? The best MMORPG. I would say Diablo is probably one of the best ARPGs out there, right? If not the best. It's the gold standard for ARPGs, right? You wanna beat Diablo. People might say what's the game? Is it Pillars of Creation or something? What's the oh gosh. I'm trying to remember the name. What? It's not Diablo, but it's like similar. Path of Exile. Path of Exile.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah. So Path of Exile is probably really good. But again, it was trying to copy the Diablo thing, right? And then you have like Overwatch, which Overwatch probably isn't in a great spot right now, and Marvel Rivals is doing pretty well, and Overwatch is like, eh. With that said, though,
but that happens.
With that said, in Overwatch's heyday, it was the best hero shooter, right? And I'm a guy who grew up on Team Fortress 2. Like, Team Fortress 2 was my jam growing up. And even I have to acknowledge that, like, Overwatch dominated the hero shooter kind of realm, right?
Yeah,
it took the TF2, theme and just made it even better. And so, like...
Yeah, no, it did.
Right? So, but Blizzard, again, just want to put it out there, right? They absolutely kick butt. And so all to say, people historically have like cross-played a lot of Blizzard games. That tends to be the norm. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them for wanting to make crossover items, especially decor. Like if you're a big Diablo player and you now get to put Diablo stuff in your house, that's awesome. I'd also like to point out though, design-wise, it's all very Diablo things that are going in, right? Like a very Diablo-looking chest. A very Diablo-looking, like, pelt for the floor. Like, very... with the bones sticking out, right? The chessboard probably could fit into the World of Warcraft world design stuff. But not... but it's still Diablo, right? Still very much a Diablo theme. And so I think that's where I'm happy. Like, it's stuff that's like, oh, this is cool stuff. If I was a Diablo player, I'd need to have that. I'd be like, yo, I need that chest. I need that pelt. I already want the chessboard. I think the chessboard is cool. So I get that. Also Hearthstone, dude. They made the best. Blizzard made the best online TCG, right? So that's just what they do. No, I know you. I know you would argue. I know you would argue. Right, I know you would argue. But they're the only ones who are like frequently updating and coming up with like new game styles and game modes, right? And like different ways to do it that aren't just like, yo, go buy Pokemon cards and then upload their code into the online version.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. Sorry, I say that all confidently, but like I'm sure people could prove me wrong on quite a few of those. But either way, a lot of crossplay. Chicken, what's been going on with Remix, by the way? I know there's a lot of changes, so I'm trying to move along so we can get to questions. Not
too much. I mean, they just gave a level increase and a XP increase, so like you can level up a lot faster, and you can put your eye level to 779, I believe it is, and it was 740. So just a couple minor things before Remix comes to a close. I think it's like a couple weeks left.
Yeah,
I think it wraps up like early next year. So yeah, it's just a couple more things. Yeah, if you haven't gone in, I think this is probably your last chance. I know it says that decor from Remix will be available after the event, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be kind of costly. So it's pretty easy to just kind of bump into Remix for like a day and do like all the raids on Mythic and probably get enough gold to buy everything you need.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I've been doing. You know, between yesterday and today, I've been kind of trying to go in and finish up Remix. I would really like to level up a Demon Hunter in Remix just to get it to 80, but I don't know if I'll get that far. I might. I think I'm going to try to get back into retail before I do that. So maybe if I get KSL, then I'll run back and do that real quick for Demon Hunter. We'll see. We'll see.
Awesome. So why don't we switch gears? Let's take a look at some of the questions that our listeners have been sending in. We've got even a couple that came in while recording. The first one, though, we have coming from my homeboy, one of our favorites. Dude, man, I love everybody. It's hard for me to even say one of our favorites because we got so many awesome people hanging out on the Discord. If you're not on the Discord, you should join our Discord. In fact, I should say it now. If you want to send in your questions to the Warband podcast to be answered live here when we record, which I guess isn't really live. I guess that's pre-recorded. So anyways, join our Discord. Join our Discord. Link in the description and go to the Pod Questions channel. Drop your questions in there. Our Patreon supporters are going to get a priority, though, on those podcast questions. So if you are a supporter on Patreon, you do get priority on podcast questions. And so we just want to, that's a way that we say thank you to all of our supporters out there. If you want to find out more info about our Patreon, there's a link down in the description for that. So on to the actual listener questions at hand, though. First one coming in from Tiger Ace Ray. And he said, if you could only play one patch of WoW for the rest of time, which one would it be and why?
Do they mean like specifically like what? Like a very specific like
patch? Yeah.
Not just like an expansion.
No.
I
have two I could pick from.
I think I would pick. I just got to verify what we're on right now because we're 11.2.
Yeah.
I think I would pick 10.2 and not 10.2.7, not like season 4 of what's it called? I would very specifically pick 10.2.
Yeah.
Season 3 of Dragonflight. That was the first season I started tanking, and I think that just kind of changes the way I played the game. And I do think truly that first season of tanking and just really like dominating those dungeons was like probably the best I've ever felt in WoW.
Absolutely. That makes sense. If I had to pick, there's two options. I'm being too logical about this. But there's two options. No. It is either, and by the way, both of these people are going to be listening and are like, why the heck are you picking those? And then I'm going to explain and it's going to make sense. Okay. One, I would pick 11.2.7, the current patch that just came out.
Uh-oh.
Yep. Or I would pick 9.1.
9.1, which would have been season 2 of Shadowlands.
Yeah, season 2 of Shadowlands. And let me give context because both of those are wild answers.
Oh, I bet I could guess both of them though.
But let me give context. One, 11.2.7 is easy. It's because player housing is in the game, right? And player housing adds so much more gameplay to the game that if I could only play one more patch for the rest of the time, and by the way, I'm not saying I'm forced into playing this for eternity. Eventually, I would just go play other games, right? But the patch that would give me the most stuff to do would be 11.2.7, right? Because player housing just adds so much to the game that I would want to do that. Now, I'm also saying 9.1 because let me tell you, I'm not doing delve, so I don't care. I don't care if that's content. That's not content I'm going to do, even if I don't have any other content to do. So 9.1. I would also pick. And the reason why I would pick 9.1, Shadowlands Season 2, is because... Okay, this is going to sound kind of funny, but it's the way I think. One, I think healers dealing damage meta is really fun in dungeons. I think it just adds such an interesting element to the gameplay and makes all your buttons feel meaningful, not just your healing buttons. And so that was a really good season. I felt I had a lot of fun healing that season and be able to do a little damage in dungeons. It really felt awesome. Two, you had a good strong blood DK meta in keys, and I love playing blood DK. Three, the dungeons were actually like genuinely pretty interesting. You had like genuinely like fairly interesting dungeons, which was a lot of fun. I did like the Shadowlands dungeons. I have nothing against them. And four. 9.1 would have been after, because I think I would have preferred raiding in the castle, right? But instead, I'm picking Sanctum of Domination because 9.0 would have had the weird covenant issue where you can't swap covenants, and that would have been a pain in the butt. So I'm conceding to 9.1, so you can still have like covenants that are easily swappable.
That's fair.
Yeah. So those are my two options. I know this sounds wild for somebody to be like, I want Shadowlands as my one.
Yeah.
But you know what though? Like, so be it. It was good gameplay for the stuff I like doing. At least.
Yeah. No, I agree. As much as we bag on Shadowlands, it probably wasn't as bad. Season 3 of Shadowlands was probably like, okay, yeah, that's enough.
Yeah. That was also the same season I joined my guild, Astra. So
what season
9.1, yeah, in season 2 of.
Yeah, that's why I thought you chose it. I was like, oh, that's probably when he joined Astra.
Coincidental, but it is when I joined Astra. And by the way, those days, it's funny. Like I love our guild. I love where our guild is at right now and the things we do. But sometimes you do look back on like the early years, right? Like how do you when you're like, how do you know you're in the good days when you're in them, right?
Yeah.
But like, our guild's still awesome, so I got no complaints. Next question coming in from Walking Plague, which I was talking to this week about something we're working on. You'll find out next week, chicken. But they said, I was talking to a friend of mine over the weekend about the early release for Housing and how it felt like the game was more alive now than it's been in years. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Does the world feel more active for you, or does it feel about the same? And then he goes on just to talk about how it's felt more alive, and it's just fun seeing people like out in the world trying to do stuff. And that's just nice having something to do, even if there's no like season 4 available. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious the game is in a pretty good state right now. And it's weird to say, but outside of probably a major like expansion launch, this may probably be the biggest like return to WoW we've seen ever. You know, like outside of maybe some major like maybe some major expansion launches, but I would hard guess that this is probably the most, you know, air quotes return to WoW they've ever seen outside. Again, I've only said this like 3 times now, but yeah, it's big. Like everyone's kind of doing stuff right now. Everyone's kind of questing, you know, doing dungeons, even remix at this point, because you get some stuff through remix. It's big. People are building them houses and making them shine.
Build. All right. I agree, by the way. I just think it does feel more active. I think we'll see that slow down a little bit. Like, it's not going to stay that way forever. But it's fun right now, and it's great. It's great content while we wait, right? Which I think is absolutely awesome. On to the next question, which we have from... Okay, so I could be wrong on this. Whenever I'm recording, it puts me into streamer mode. Oh, there we go. I can see now. A question coming in from Rage and Ridge, because sometimes on streamer mode, it only gives me like the first letter of someone's name. Rage and Ridge, coming in on the Discord, wants to know, what are you doing to keep entertained at the end of the expansion while we wait for midnight? So that's a great question. For me...
Raging. Come on, brother. What do you think?
At the moment, it's player housing. It's 100% player housing. It will probably soon, when I kind of tire of player housing, I'm probably going to start getting back to trying to do some more tanking things, doing some dungeons. If that kind of feels boring to me, I might do some arenas and PvP stuff and just work on that. It's all about change up, dude. Do the things. Like, there are things that you have no interest in doing at the start of a season, but towards the end, when you're just looking for other things to do, try those out. That can be really helpful, because I know you've been working hard on goals in the game, and so sometimes taking the break from that. I'll also say, like, this is that time of the season where Chicken and I start to see our Fortnite gameplay numbers go up a little bit, right? Like,
oh, dude, I've been playing Fortnite for a while. Bro.
Yeah, right. Like, it's just everybody has like kind of side games that they play. It's healthy, right? Maybe I've been practicing guitar a little bit more. Don't feel like you have to go 100% all the time. Like, when midnight comes out, you best believe I'm probably taking a few days off work for the release. I'm going to be playing a whole ton.
Filthy nerd.
It's going to be a great time, right? But I'm not playing WoW like that the whole season long, because it'll burn me out. It'll probably also burn out my marriage. Also, double whammy there. But it's good to kind of take the balance. Now, I'm not saying like, hey, dude, just stop playing WoW, because the question isn't really like, hey, what other games should play. The question is like, hey, what are some other things? But that does help me. It does keep me entertained to try to do something else, especially if it's another game that's like just different from WoW, right? Fortnite's different, which is fun. Practicing guitar is definitely mentally stimulating, which is really fun. But then also just trying different things, right? I've been healing all season, so now going back to tanking has been really good. Maybe classic, dude. Maybe playing classic for a little bit. Just finding those things that are just like, oh, this is a nice change of pace. This is different. Like, I'm really enjoying this. It's gonna be super awesome.
Yeah, I have to do the raid at some point. I've yet to do the raid.
That
one of these days.
Maybe we'll organize like a Discord thing for that.
Low key, I really want to organize a remix raid to try to get the achievement, one of the achievement raid mounts. So cool. I'm like, this would be cool to do it.
They are.
Also, I think it'd be cool. Maybe you should bring this up to the officers of the guild. We should do, well, it's kind of hard to do now because the second landing is just awful. Once the second landing builds up, we should do a fight to the death versus the first neighborhood and the second neighborhood.
Oh, that would be sick. I don't even know how you would pull that off, but that would be sick to have like some sort of competition between neighborhoods.
Like fight to the death.
Listen, listeners, I want you guys to know something. Player housing came out, right?
Oh,
and
no.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So chicken, listen, we had a few people in our guild who like knew what plot they wanted. And if they couldn't get that plot in the main neighborhood, they were just gonna go to the second neighborhood. That's fine. I'm a little sad you didn't want to hang out with me, but that's okay. I'll live. That's fine. Whatever. But Chicken, though, Chicken's a whole different breed. Chicken doesn't care which plot he's on, right? He doesn't care. I know that.
No.
I know he doesn't care. And so I look at the neighborhood and I realize, Chicken hasn't even gotten a plot yet. He probably would have never gotten a plot if I didn't pester him about it. Doesn't have a plot yet. So I message him and I'm like, yo, Chicken, I need you to do me a huge favor. Also, I turned streamer mode off, and so now the Discord beeps are coming through.
Oh no!
Streamer mode's back on. All right, I forgot that was a problem. So
rip your ears.
So I'm like, Chicken, dude, there's one plot left in the neighborhood, dude. You got to get it. And he's like, I'll take my time. I'm not in a rush. And so here he is now in the secondary neighborhood, right? Like I'm living in the Beverly Hills of our guild neighborhood, and this dude is in Shard 2, bro. He
I'm
sharded
in the
himself, chat.
slums.
Chicken sharded himself.
Yep, I'm in the slums, brother.
I will admit though, whenever I see somebody like quit the guild, I quickly like check the neighborhood to see if like a plot opens. Because you best believe when a plot opens, I'm be like, all right, chicken, it's time, dude. It's time to move on up. I wanna be able to like fly over to your house. I wanna have to like figure out how to change shards to get to your house.
Yeah, it's not easy.
No.
It's not easy to figure out how to change.
That would be something
the-
I would tell them. I would suggest for Blizzard though, if they have if you
Oh,
have
yeah.
guilds with
Oh, I
multiple
agree,
shards,
yeah.
having an easier way, right? Because right now it's kind of like
Yeah, there should just be like a road
Mhm.
in the first neighborhood that just takes you to the second neighborhood.
right, or like somebody you talk to that's just like, oh,
Oh yeah,
right, yeah. Like I don't know, some whimsical way that WoW could say like, hey, go to the second shard, right? Because
Yeah,
it really
yeah,
should
yeah.
feel like every shard of the guild neighborhood is part of the guild neighborhood, not their
Yes.
own individual neighborhoods, right? And that's where kind of it's not quite there yet. I'm sure they will figure that out. It's just not there yet. Because right now you
Yes.
kind of have to almost jump over as if you're viewing a plot on it. Like, oh, I want to go view a plot, right? You kind of have to wiggle your way into it rather than like honestly walking through the front gate. Yeah, I don't know how we got into that conversation, but we have another question coming in to the podcast from Obsidian. She asked, I don't know if this has been asked before, but if Blizzard were to make another remix soon, what expansion would y'all want it to be? I think a Burning Crusade remix would be dope, even though we're giving a classic anniversary of it. Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah, and to clarify too, right? Like classic and remix are such wildly different experiences. The person who likes classic probably doesn't love remix. Maybe some do, right? I'm sure plenty do, but generally, the person who loves classic wants a slower experience, right? And remix is all about the faster experience.
Mhm.
So, Chicken, what expansion? If you got a remix of any expansion, which one would you like to see come
Here we
back?
go. Hot take.
Mhm.
Hot take. Wrath of the Lich King.
Wrath of the Lich King. Okay.
Yeah, dude. Why not, brother?
Bro, I think that might be one of the coldest takes anyone's ever said on this podcast before.
Oh, probably. Yeah, everyone
Mhm.
probably wants that.
Mm-hmm. Now, I will
Let's be
say,
honest.
I do wonder if Blizzard kind of dug themselves into a hole or backed themselves into a corner with Remix this time around,
Okay.
because now that they've added in M Plus on Remix with Legion, that kind of almost sets a standard, right? Like I think it was overall pretty positively received.
Yeah, I agree though.
And so how do you go to an expansion that doesn't have M Plus? I think Blizzard needs an answer for that, because I do think there are too many good seasons or good expansions prior to M Plus that Remix would be really fun in. I always say WoD because I think you could create a really unique WoD experience in Remix. I think that could be really fun.
Mhm.
As you said, Wrath would be cool. Burning Crusade would be cool. Right now, though, the hottest of takes, dude. The hottest of takes. I want. Oh gosh, I can't believe I'm doing this twice in the same episode. I kind of want a Shadowlands remix.
Stop.
Yeah, and let me explain, because there are so many awesome Covenant designs, and like especially like housing crap, dude. There'd be so much cool Covenant stuff. Like
yeah,
between
that's fair.
like Maldraxxus, Revendreth, Ardenweald, right, Bastion. You even have the Final Zone Zereth Mortis, right? Like you have so many cool designs going on. I'd love to see that material make its way into like a remix, like a faster collecting. That's why. That's like literally it. I want those transmogs. I want all of them, and
Yeah.
I don't want to put the time into actually farm reputation or whatever for covenants.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Yeah, I could. I think you might have hit the nail on the head. I feel like if they do a remix again,
Yeah.
they're gonna have to be pretty advantageous about how they can put in some kind of like Mythic Plus pool. But to be honest, with player housing and everything, I don't know. Maybe we won't see remix for a good year.
That's true. That's true. We'll see what
Or
happens.
a good year, a good expansion or two. Sorry.
Yeah, because we probably won't have the next remix until midnight at some point, right? End of midnight, we'll probably see the next
Even
remix.
then, though, I mean, at the end of midnight, it might be a real gear up to the Last Titan, and then obviously the Last Titan is going to be huge into what's after that, right?
Yeah, and by the way, there's no guarantee that we'll get another remix, right? I like remix. I'd like to see it come back. No promise, no guarantee on that. All right, next question coming in from I think it's Rasta. I turned back on.
Yes, it's Rasta.
Oh, perfect. I turned back on streamer mode. Can't see anything. Okay, what kind of features or system would you add to housing? Is it designed to be an evergreen system? So if you, it is. Okay, so it is designed to be an evergreen system. So if you could have them add something, no matter how big or wild it might be, what would you ask for? We kind of did touch on this, so we're not going to fully rehash it. But I do think, right, like copy paste feature, being able to have more grid options available for like kind of locking in, better placement of front doors, a lot of those things. But if there's, I kind of got everything out of my system that I wanted to ask for. Oh, you know what? Weapons. Let me put my weapons that I've collected in my house.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. Like armor sets, obviously, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like something I feel like the two things that come to mind, and this is, to me, this is different because what I said before, I think, is something that's easily achievable. What I'm about to say might not be as easily achievable. Like some kind of like closet system where it's like, oh, like I can put like clothes like somewhere, like that, and then I can change my clothes, like transmogging, right? I think that would be kind of neat. And also,
you do know how the new transmog system's going to work, right?
Yeah, but like I want to have that like in my house.
That makes sense.
Like
it will. I think you will have it in your house.
Yeah. Okay, that's kind of fair. But
right,
like,
because the new transmog system will let you change your transmog to one of your pre-selected outfits anytime you want.
Yeah, but I want to have like an armor stand that like has that like transmog on it, and I could just click it and it like automatically like changes it. You know what I mean?
More for the interactiveness of it than anything
more
else.
For the interaction. Yeah.
Okay.
And just to have it on display, right? Like, hey, this is my battle armor that I wore into raid when we just defeated, Gallywigs.
You know what? Little plaques or notes that people can read, if they added that stuff in, would be cool, right? Like as you said, right?
Yeah.
To have that piece there, and then somebody can click it, and it's like, oh, I wore this when our guild raided such and such back in 9.3,
like
right?
that'd be cool too. Yeah. It's all tied around like that, basically.
That makes sense.
And then, the second one would be some kind of like some kind of way to like make things like interactive in a way, so like I can have like a light switch or something that like turns on lights and does like a specific pattern or something. Some kind of like interactive bits in housing that, or like, hey, like I can turn on like my shower and it like kind of like turns water on, like little things like that. Like just like a few more interactive bits. I think those are a little more long shotty because it's like, maybe it's just me that wants those.
No, that makes sense. I think they're cool though. I think interactive things will be cool and should for sure be added into the game. As we're wrapping up the podcast here, one last question coming in from X, and he want to know, why is Resto Druid so fun this season? Who came up with the mastery change? Can they get a raise? I think it's fun because your spells feel like they're more impactful when you press buttons. That's it. That's all. We'll pass the word along. If you work at Blizzard, give that guy a raise.
Oh my gosh.
All right, but that's everything for the Warband podcast today. As always, we want to encourage you, if you're looking for a guild, if you're trying to find a community to be a part of, Chicken and I are in a guild that we absolutely love, and so we always love to give them a little shout out. If you want to know more about the guild Astra, you can jump into our Discord. I say our Discord is in podcast Discord, not the guild's Discord, and there's a join Astra channel where you can ask questions, or you can just search for Astra on Storm Rage in the Guild Finder tab in game and make an invite request. Even leave a note, just say, hey, we're coming from the Warband podcast, right? That gives a good little context there. But we're just so thankful, everybody, for listening. Chicken, I do have to chuckle a little bit because right before we recorded, it's been a while since we've done this, but right before we recorded, Chicken goes, I don't know if we really have much to talk about. Like, I don't know if there's like anything happening. And sure enough, every time that those words are said, it ends up being one of our longest episodes. So, hope you all enjoyed this one. It was a bit of a doozy of an episode. A lot of housing content, a lot of other stuff. And the next 2 weeks are going to be the Warband episodes, our little Christmas special that we're doing. So, Chick and I are going to be recording that, all of it next weekend, and then releasing it in a 2-part, not series, but just two episodes. And we're really excited. Chicken, I'm going to give you a little homework, though. There is an 11.2.7 storyline regarding the Windrunner sisters and Sylvanas. Could you do me a favor and could you do that quest line before the next episode? And it's going to be awesome. We're going to be talking about all things regarding Midnight, everything that you would need to know about the lore going into Midnight. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be a great time, a little bit interactive. We're super excited for it. So keep an eye out for those in the next 2 episodes. And then right after New Year's, we will be back with your regularly scheduled Warband content. And we'll see you soon.